There was a middle-aged man who lived in the woods by himself. The only companions he had were his 3 hunting dogs. It took a full day and night to travel into the town outside of the forest, so he only left his 2-room cabin to get food and other supplies when he really needed to. One night, the man looked into the cupboard and realized that he had no food left in his cabin. Cursing himself for being so careless, he decided that it was much too dark to start out for town now, and he would just have to go hungry until tomorrow. About an hour later, the man was sitting in the main room of his cabin when he heard a peculiar noise. It sounded like scurrying, as if an animal were running about the room. His 3 hunting dogs were outside sleeping under the porch, as they always did. The man began to search for the noise, and behind his recliner, he saw the strangest animal he had ever laid eyes on. The animal was the size of a cat, with a long pointy face like a fox. All of its teeth were razor sharp, and its fangs protruded from its mouth. Its eyes were big and bright green, so bright that it seemed like they were glowing in the dim light. But the thing that the man noticed most about this strange beast was its enormous tail, which he guessed was 6 feet long. The creature regarded him calmly for quite some time as the man stared at it in awe. And just then, a thought came to him. He would kill it and have it for dinner. Quick as a flash, he rushed to his little wooden table and grabbed a butcher knife. The creature, realizing what was happening, let out a terrible hiss that froze the man in his tracks. It almost sounded like a human scream. The man began to chase the thing for a full minute before it finally slipped out through a hole in the cabin wall where it had presumably entered from. The thing barely escaped, but not before the butcher knife came down and chopped off the tail. The man heard the creature run off, screaming into the night. Being a shrewd man, he carefully skinned and cooked the tail for dinner, and he went to bed quite satisfied afterwards. But in all the excitement, he had forgotten to patch up the hole in the wall, and later the same night, the man awoke to a scurrying sound in his room. And then, as he listened with a cold, growing fear, an eerie sing-song rang through the still air of the cabin.
Tailypo, Tailypo, all I want's my Tailypo.
The man was so frightened, he jumped out of bed and grabbed his shotgun. All he saw was a black shadow scuttle fast as lightning through the hole in the wall. Shouting out, he sent his dogs after it, hearing them go barking into the distance. The man sat up for an hour, and only 2 of his dogs came back. Scared now, the man blocked the hole as best he could with a stack of logs for the fire, and let the dogs into the house to sleep in the cabin. Then he went back to bed. Not 10 minutes later, the sound of a stack of logs crashing down and his dogs whining like scared puppies reached his ears and startled him awake. There was a scurrying sound. Then an eerie sing-song voice said,
Tailypo, Tailypo, all I want's my Tailypo.
And it sounded much closer this time. This time, the man snatched up his shotgun from the side of the bed and aimed it at the black shadow on the floor. But he missed by just an inch, and the creature escaped through the reopened hole in the wall. He sent his 2 dogs out again after the creature, and in 1 hour, 1 dog returned. The man pushed his heavy chair in front of the hole and brought his dog to sleep in his bed as he tried to go back to sleep. Not 5 minutes later, the sound of a heavy chair scraping across the floor reached the man's ears, and the voice, sounding very close, sang out,
Tailypo, Tailypo. All I want's my Tailypo.
Terrified, the man sent his last dog to chase after the creature, and the dog chased it into darkness and never returned. Desperate, the man blocked the hole with everything he could find and sat on his bed clutching his shotgun. Not 3 minutes later, there was scratching at the front door, and the doorknob began to slowly turn. The man aimed the shotgun at the door and pulled the trigger, but the gun was empty. The door came crashing open, and the black shadow came scurrying across the floor, and slowly it climbed up the foot of his bed, its glowing green eyes narrowing, and razor-sharp teeth appeared in the creature's smile as it sang,
Tailypo, Tailypo, you've got my Tailypo.
And no one knows what became of the man or his 3 dogs, but some say on quiet dark nights, as the wind blows softly through the trees, you can hear a faint sing-song voice ring